Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man walah, amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have hadith number 76 tonight from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, where he said, قال حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. The statement حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel, which means that Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best of protectors. حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Ibn Abbas, the great Sahabi, he says this statement, قالها إبراهيم صلى الله عليه وسلم. Ibrahim sallallahu alayhi wasallam said this. Side note, it's permissible to say sallallahu alayhi wasallam for any of the prophets. It's just a dua, may Allah have sent salah and salam upon them. So he says, Ibrahim alayhi salam said this, حين ألقي في النار, when he was thrown into the fire, this is what he uttered, this statement of حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. And he says, وقالها محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also uttered the same statement, حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. حين قالوا, when it was said, يعني the people, they said, إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. This ayah we spoke about. We spoke about this verse last week when we spoke about the chapter of Yaqeen and Tawakkul. And what the ayah was speaking about was, after the battle of Uhud, the Muslims were defeated, the enemies were leaving, and then they decided, let's go back and finish them off. And a man came back and said to the Prophet and the Sahaba, they've gathered again, and they're coming back to finish you off. So what should you do? فَخْشَوْهُمْ, fear them. You should be wary of them. But Allah says, فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. When this was said to them, they only increased in iman. And they uttered these words, حسبunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Meaning, the head of them, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he uttered these words, Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best of protectors. Ibn Abbas, this statement of his is found in Sahih al-Bukhari. In another narration from him, he said, كَانَ آخِرُ قَوْلَ إِبْرَاهِيم. The last thing Ibrahim alayhi salam said when he was thrown into the fire was this, حسبيallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, which means, sufficient is Allah for me and He is the best of protectors. It's also reported from Ibrahim alayhi salam that when they intended to throw him into the fire, he turned his head to the sama, he turned his head to the skies. And this proves that Ibrahim alayhi salam also believed Allah is fi sama, Allah is above the heavens. He turned and he looked into the heavens and he said, Allahumma anta al-wahidu fi sama. Oh Allah, you are the one who's in the heavens. Wa ana al-wahidu fil ard, and I am the one who's in this world. Laysa ahadun ya'buduka ghayri. There is none in this world that's worshipping you except me, from amongst the people. حسبيallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. So you are sufficient for me and you are the best of protectors. When he did this, Allah Azza wa Jal responded to him and He said, Ya naru kuni barda wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Allah then spoke to the fire. And what do we know? Ibrahim alayhi salam gave da'wah. He called his people to Tawheed, to stop worshipping idols. And he used reasoning. He said, these idols can't hear you. They can't respond to you. They cannot benefit you or harm you. The people became upset with him, until he went and he destroyed the idols. And he said, go and ask the big one who did the job. This is to show them a lesson. In the end, they decided, we are going to burn him. And they built such a big fire that they could not even get close to the fire to throw him. So they built like a catapult or something to throw him, to shoot him. And as this happened, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said, حسبيallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Sufficient is Allah for me and He is the best of protectors. And Allah responded and He said to the fire, Kuni bardan. Two things Allah said. Be cool, number one. What do we know about fire? It's very hot. And secondly, it burns and destroys. Allah said two things to the fire. Be cool, number one. And be salaman. Be a place of safety. Do not burn him. Do not destroy him. So let it be a place of peace and coolness for him. For who? For Ibrahim alayhi salam. This statement, حسبيallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, thus was said by two of the greatest prophets. Both of these prophets had a special title known as Al-Khalil. As Allah said in the Quran, وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. Allah took Ibrahim as a Khalil. And in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اتَّخَذَنِي خَلِيلًا كَمَا اتَّخَذَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. Allah took me as a Khalil just like He took Ibrahim as a Khalil. What is a Khalil? A Khalil is a beloved who reaches the utmost limit of love and affection and closeness. This is a Khalil. So there's an interesting point Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah makes on this, and he says, when we refer to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Habibullah, the beloved of Allah, there's nothing wrong in this, but he says there's actually a better title that he has, a more honorable title that he has, which is Khalilullah. Because Khalilullah means the beloved of Allah, but higher than the level of a Habib, higher than the level of a Habibullah. Because Allah has many Habibs, yes, many of His slaves that is beloved to Him. So this title, he says there's fihi naqs. It's like you're decreasing, you're taking away from the honor of the Prophet ﷺ. So a better title is to say about him, Khalilullah, just like we say about Ibrahim alayhi salam, Khalilullah. To end off, what do we learn from this narrations? That when we are in times of trouble, difficulty, hardship, you may be facing an enemy, whatever it may be, one of the best things to say is HasbunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Hasbi Allah means Allah is sufficient for me, and HasbunAllah means Allah is sufficient for us in the plural form. One of the best things we can say, and we will be imitating the two greatest prophets, the two Khalils of Allah, is HasbunAllahu wa ni'mal wakeel. If you say this believing in it, Allah will be sufficient for you. He will take care of your needs, and He will deal with your enemies, idhnillahi ta'ala. والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.